UFC 160 is in the books, which means it's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is easier from outside the cage. With me, a man that has no problem at all locating Facebook's live streaming free fights. Raf Esparza. Raf, how are you doing tonight, sir?
It's spectacularly easy to use. I don't understand why it's a problem for you. Also, hello. How are you doing?
My side of the argument is the Facebook free live streaming events are the most unwatched free event in fight history because no one can fucking find them.
That's so dumb.
It takes forever and a day to locate the stream. I finally found it on YouTube. I searched every term you would associate and came back with nothing. Your response, Raf?
Do you ever consider the idea that you're an idiot?
No.
Okay.
Come on. How would
Well,
that ever cross my mind?
there's your first problem.
Are you kidding?
Problem the second. I love the fact that when it says, hey, watch these fights on Facebook, hey, guess what? I wonder if UFC's got a Facebook fan page. Are you a fan of the fan page?
Yes.
Oh my God, even more reason that this is easy. You go to the fan page, which they're not short on promoting, and then you look, and there's a little series of buttons at the top, right underneath the little banner that just say, watch, stream, live.
Yeah, and I would believe that if this were Verbal Tap Fairy Tale Hour, but that's not how it works. I went to UFC.com. I liked the fucking fan page, Raf. I liked everything to do with the UFC. I clicked on every
Google
goddamn link that said live streaming Facebook, and none of them took me to free, shitty, decision-based fights. No one took me there.
Because all you have to do is follow directions, but don't read. And they send out 1 million emails. Do you get their emails that they send out?
Yes, I clicked everything. Nothing was saying
that was the problem.
In a day and age where they're supposed to be able to read my mind hole when it comes to what I want to see advertising wise, like the reason Keenan Cornelius's competitive DVD series have showed up 68 times this week. I want the UFC to just read my mind and come up with an easy way for me to watch it. Is that too much to ask?
Yes, it's entirely too much to ask for someone as simple as you to dictate how the UFC works. Kevin, this is what I'm telling you. You are saying that you are giving up, essentially, after typing in the Google search, UFC, give me fights now.
I'm not giving
Facebook.
up. Well, I'm kind of giving up. I don't.
You don't go to the Facebook fan page, which might have some more information on it, just as a thought?
I go there.
Well, clearly not fast enough if you're bitching about not being able to find
There's no
them.
tiny little screen that says, click me and watch fights. It just doesn't exist. So we can... You know what? Verbal Tap listeners, let Raf and I know who's wrong. Is Raf wrong or am I wrong?
Can I also add in real quick? Kevin, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a key role player in incident management for a pretty large telecommunication and technology firm.
So you work helping out with IT problems for computers?
Daily. Yeah,
okay.
Advanced.
Very advanced, which is not how most people would describe trying to find Facebook fights when they have to click, no more than about 3 or 4 buttons.
You'd think so, which is why they need to listen to me and fix this, Raf. It's getting dangerous out there.
This is just the funniest thing in the world.
This all started because, and welcome to the show for those of you that are new, Raf and I like to talk about all things MMA, comedy related. In this case, he texted me because he was headed to pick someone out from the airport that probably wasn't as important as the show. And he was like, can you tweet out what's going on with the fights? I was like, of course. It's an open dialogue here at Verbal Tap between Raf, myself, and the fight community. So I was, trying to locate those fights so I could do it. I also have the UFC app on my iPad, which I was able to watch 160 from, Raf. But I was not able to find
them, though?
Seconds to find UFC 160. I couldn't find the Facebook prelims on it.
How long did it take you to find the prelims on Facebook?
20 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Give or take, just being honest.
Okay,
All
that's
right,
fine.
so let's run through the fights. Jeremy Stevens takes on Esteban Payan in a unanimous decision that was pretty clearly Stevens. Brian Bowles and George Roop. I believe this fight also replayed during the main event card.
Yes, it did at the very end because they had a little bit of time to burn at the end.
Yeah, so long and short of this one, Brian Bowles needs to work on his cardio, but he throws some big punches. Stephen Thompson versus Nashan Burrell, and this is where I have my first problem of the night.
Okay.
What the fuck does it mean to be a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu? Do you know?
I'm not going to misrepresent any of this. I don't know that realm. What is your idea of what it means?
It means when you take someone's back and you get in a body triangle, you don't then just give up because that person stands up.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
What would you have done in that situation?
Not let the triangle go. That's all I'm saying.
That's a good start.
A body triangle, you can crack a rib with that. And he was just like, nope, not interested. I'd rather play topsy-turvy against the cage. Nurmagomedov.
I want to hear you say that one more time.
Nurmagomedov.
Oh my God.
Nurmagomedov. Khabib versus Abel Trujillo. And you know, Raph, you want to hear an interesting bit of trivia?
What's that?
The first card we ever did on Verbal Tap 1, the first one we ever predicted, Abel Trujillo was on that card.
Aw.
Yeah. Happy 25th
Memories.
Anniversary.
Aw, thank you. I didn't get you anything.
That's fine. Mine was just a memory. Did you see this fight?
No, I didn't. And I didn't really care. But I'll tell you this much.
You don't need to.
Maybe it's because I showed the exact same amount of consideration that Khabib did for making weight.
Yeah, that's true.
He
You guys
came
both
in
made weight. Or
3
didn't.
pounds over.
A large amount over.
Now, I want to say I think part of it might be his name is so long it might have added those couple pounds.
You could make a pretty strong argument. Colton Smith versus Robert Whittaker. I spoiler alerted this one on accident.
And
Sorry
then the
about
best
that.
part is you spoiler alerted it. And I was mostly just giving you shit for it.
Yeah.
But then you didn't say anything. Like a kid who knows that they did something wrong.
I fell
They just
asleep.
go super silent and just go, okay.
Well, first of all, I did not feel bad for ruining the fact that Robert Whittaker spent most of his fight with one hand down, by the way. He has this weird, interesting style that includes not blocking his face, and people were okay with that. He just ended up... Colton Smith was winning the fight for most of it, and then he just came back and just started beating the shit out of Colton Smith, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I thought MMA Roasted said it best when he was like, Colton Smith apologizes for having an interesting fight. That was really
It was
good.
a solid slam.
It was especially good. Dennis Bermudez versus Max Holloway, and this is where I took a little vacation to walk the dog.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, that's why I stopped tweeting
It's
dramatically.
really funny. Because I got in, and right around that time, you just noticed that our Twitter has said nothing for a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
And
that
you
was
just
this
go,
guy.
where's Kevin? Did Kevin just, did ADHD set in? And he just goes, oh, is that a playground outside? Bye.
He was taking a little break during the Bermudez Holloway fight, which ended in a decision, so good for him. Mike Pyle versus Rick Story. Did you see the mullet on Mike Pyle?
It was hard not to.
He's ready for America. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Oh my
Hold
God.
on.
I'm sorry. Do you remember seeing what looked like someone got murdered in the octagon?
I don't. I did not see.
But you saw all the blood?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, that was Esteban Payan. Excuse me, I forgot to go back to the part where he bled enough that it elicited a whole series of Red Cross jokes on Twitter.
God.
Like, people were genuinely about to... During that entire fight, you would just see comments that were like, stop this fight. Stop this fight. Please, God. Esteban Payan might die from blood loss. Stop this fight.
I always, whenever you see something like that, wonder if you're the Red Cross and you see that you're trending on Twitter, you just go, man, people really love us. That's good. We're so inspired. Wait, there are a lot of... Oh, really?
Son of a bitch.
Come on, UFC
That's what they were
fans.
talking about? God,
I mean,
fucking UFC.
He did lose a lot of blood, and we're not giving him any back, but yikes.
Come on, guys. So, sorry, I just wanted to state that because that blood stain was prevalent through the rest of these fights.
I'm so glad that came back to you as if you were the one who lost the amount of blood in your brain.
I felt like I lost blood watching it. Mike Pyle versus Rick Story was a ton of fun from a fight perspective. Rick Story needs to work on his cardio a little bit because Mike Pyle just beat the shit out of him in that final round.
Yeah, that I think he started slowing down because I think he felt he was a little bit ahead, and that was just an opening for Mike Pyle to come in on a close bout, really.
Yeah, it was great. So let's move into the main event, where I was watching on the UFC TV iPad app, which was great because it meant I could watch from particular corners, and all you can hear is the cornerman that's wired, which is pretty cool. So the first fight was Donald the Cowboy Cerrone versus KJ Noons. KJ Noons just got the shit kicked out of him by Donald Cerrone, and I got to hear Greg Jackson screaming the entire time, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Cerrone." He's awesome to hear in the corner. Just, he's asking the other coaches, he's like, what do you think he's going to do? What do you think KJ's going to come out and do to surprise him? Just screaming it out. Like, it was fascinating.
You and I had an exchange where I was really happy where I just said, when things get really slow for the two of us and we really agree with what the other says, it's just going to be, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Raph.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Raph Esparza. Yes, sir.
I felt so bad for KJ Noons because he wasn't amounting any offense at any given point, and
shit kicked out of him,
and just was getting just mauled in there to the point where I wanted to just stop the fight somewhere around maybe the early third round. I just go, I've seen everything I need to see. Yep,
yeah,
this can end right now, and it's not going to change. And guess what? It didn't.
Nope, that's pretty much how I felt. And that takes us into Greg Maynard gets violently knocked out by TJ Grant.
Yes, Gray. He's a fighter I do like and respect. He's had a few decisions that have really carried him through the past few years. And I like him, but it was pretty awesome to watch him get knocked out. And I'll explain why. TJ Grant did that kind of thing that you like in a fighter where their aggressiveness takes over and they're not going to allow a fighter back into the fight.
He was not interested in letting that fighter back in.
Because don't you agree? Isn't there a part of you that just gets a little frustrated with some of those fighters who let them back into the fight?
Yes.
And, you don't want to see anybody get harmed. You just want a clear and definitive winner. Now, we say this as the two of us who...
Monday morning cage fighters.
Obviously.
Not getting punched in the face at all.
Yup. Never getting punched in the face. Totally cool. But you watch that, and it was just so impressive to see, where even though I wasn't going for TJ to begin with, that was a hell of a way to finish a fight. Just so cool to watch.
Glover Teixeira guillotines James Tehuna.
Yes.
How do you feel about watching Glover Teixeira pull off a pretty mean guillotine?
Well, I saw the guillotine, and I just... my neck starts cranking a little bit, because I go, that... he looks like a strong dude. That looks like it's not fun.
Did you also see the pissed off James Tehuna? Like, he held it longer than... James Tehuna was like, I fucking tapped, and was pissed.
Yeah. Well, you can never be too sure.
I'm actually with Teixeira. It's like, I'm sorry, too many people have escaped a guillotine of mine and been like, oh, you didn't have it, it was just my neck, so it's just, Glover Teixeira had that deep, and James Tehuna was tapped and pissed that he didn't let go faster.
Well, he might have also been pissed he went out, or not went out, but he was losing to it, and very quickly. Like, that was a super quick fight. It was kind of a recurring theme for the actual main card. Yeah. 3 out of 5 of the fights in the main card were finished within the first round, within about, on an average, about a minute and a half's time.
That takes us into Junior Dos Santos versus Mark Hunt.
Good fight.
The earthquake fight, as I've been calling it. Like, it felt like my couch was shaking as they were just... These two, they walked in with a gentleman's agreement. This isn't a fact, this is just a guess. That they walked in with a gentleman's agreement that was like, one of us is not leaving this fight. Like, we are knocking each other out. That's the only way this is ending.
When you were watching this, did you have a moment when you're watching Junior Dos Santos back in form? Because the last time we saw him fight, really, in this kind of way, for me, was when seeing him fight against Kane. And just that memory of seeing him get the shit kicked out of him for 5 rounds just was still ingrained in my brain. And for a second, I forgot how much I actually enjoy him as a fighter. Because at the end of it, he gets a disgustingly patient style that pays off with the end. With, again, a spinning roundhouse kick, which, by the way, is apparently the new thing.
Yeah.
You have to end a fight with a spinning roundhouse kick. Am I wrong?
Boy, did he. No, you're right. It's what's trending. It's like wearing stupid shit to a press conference in the NBA. It's just something people have to do, yeah. And
it's a thing. And I had completely forgotten in all the time that we've seen him, when they get to him and he just, when they, they're talking to him in the post-fight, and it's just him as a big kid being like, hey, I did really well, right? that was so fun.
Did you see those Nike shorts?
Oh,
that shit's important.
Well, it's definitely important, but he has just that enthusiasm about just like, everybody get late tonight, yeah? Okay, I'm so happy.
If you're Mark Hunt, are you a little upset today that you got knocked the fuck out with someone's calf?
No. I hope not. I hope if you're Mark Hunt, first of all, that he's okay. He didn't make the post-fight conference. I guess they got him to the hospital. I assume he's going to be fine because dude's super tough.
Hold on. But after the calf, it was a straight from like Junior Dos Santos wound up and took a punch from his wind-up pose and struck it directly into Mark Hunt's face.
Yeah. I will say, though, much respect to Junior Dos Santos, because right after, when you give the ref a look that's, I'm finishing this fight, watch me finish this fight. I think when they did the replay, it's kind of like, I don't want to hurt this guy anymore, so I'm just kind of dink, like connecting punches just to try and, get the job done.
It was mean. Cain Velasquez says, yes, let's fight Junior Dos Santos by knocking out Antonio Silva. And do you agree Junior Dos Santos is obviously fighting Cain Velasquez as we transition to this primary fight?
They've already made that.
Yeah. Sorry, Roy Nelson, but it's going to get put on hold after these last 2 fights. Cain Velasquez just proves Antonio Silva wasn't ready.
All right. Well, this was chattered around. What did you think of the stoppage?
Stop the fight. He wasn't defending himself. Look, there's a part of UFC that I'm willing to say, hey, let's let him fight. Let's give him a few seconds. Let's let him rebound. But that rebound normally needs to include either their hands or their feet coming to the rescue, because you can always turtle out of a position. Like, you can always do that MMA somersault that takes you to safety.
That was the one I was thinking of, yeah.
They weren't doing that. They were just sitting there getting rocketed to the face, and I'm using they because it happened 2 or 3 times throughout the night.
I think the biggest chatter I saw about it was people were bent out of shape, and people just really want to see. I almost wonder if they want to see death before they're like, okay, now you can call it. But there was a distinct moment I was watching with Silva's hands that it looked like his hands were still dragging on the ground, like he was posting up and he was just holding his weight with both of his arms, like almost like a table where he had like all fours, and he's just kind of like, all right, I'm eating some punches. And then I just saw his hands drag for a second. I said, that's not healthy to get punched in that position.
I thought it was over. I was like, Silva's knocked out, and I think fighters have an instinct to try and defend themselves, even though it looks like they so they're just like, no, what are you talking about? And it's like, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I didn't. disagree with that.
All in all, explosive fights, people that really brought it to the table.
Yep.
All night. I don't have, and I'm normally a pretty big critiquer of UFC fight cards because a lot of them are just so plain boring to me when they don't need to be. Like, a good chunk of them just don't have to be that boring. Even on prelims, like, we should expect high content fights, high octane fights, and they were there for UFC 160. So thanks, big guys, heavyweights, fun stuff.
Yep. Thank you guys for a pretty good fight card. The one thing we didn't talk about, though, is the fact that when they were handing out all the awards and recognitions for the night, fight of the night went to Junior Dos Santos and Mark Hunt. Submission of the night went to Glover Teixeira. And the knockout of the night was originally going to go to Junior Dos Santos. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
But do you know what happened?
I don't.
You know who the special guest of honor who was there at yesterday's fights was, right?
Yes, I do.
Who was that?
Forrest Griffin.
No, not that.
What?
Although
Mike
that's
Tyson?
too. That's right. So Mike Tyson's sitting right next to Dana White, and Dana's just like, hey, I think Junior Dos Santos is going to get knockout of the night. I think that's what we're going to go with. And Mike Tyson just goes, no. And Dana White goes, did I just get overruled? And they ended up giving it to TJ Grant, just based on that conversation. And there is a photo on Facebook that we'll put on our page of TJ Grant having the original piece of paper that said who was getting what and his name not being on it. I thought that was an awesome story. Yeah.
That is a good story.
But you did bring up Forrest Griffin, and there was also a big moment. Yesterday, they decided to retire Forrest Griffin.
Bon voyage.
Yeah, which I know now may seem a bit mundane for fans, but when you consider the history of the sport, it does mark a pivotal moment. Just considering that him and Stephan Bonnar essentially made the company.
Yeah.
And now, you've seen other fighters like Chuck retire and Matt Hughes and other people who are weighing in who have been with the company that long. But it is just something to note for Forrest, and an engaging personality. He'll apparently be in the UFC offices, which, by the way, I would like to bring up a solid point here, which is that UFC office sounds terrifying. You have Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes, and now Forrest Griffin. Can you imagine just popping in one day to say what's up in that office?
I like that they made fun of Chuck Liddell's work ethic. And, yeah, I can't, no. It's we're not going to have any water cooler disputes. No one has to argue about whose lunch takes priority in the fridge. I mean,
Do you think that... Okay, what do you think...
It's going to be a very different season of The Office, I guess.
Yes, it is. That's the best idea we've had. I'm going to spin that over to NBC and see what we can do for that. My question to you is, what do you think they're going to get Forrest to do?
He's probably going to be in charge of something rudimentary, like sharpening pencils or making sure storage facilities are okay. I mean, he's not going to be long-term business strategy and PR needs. I like that his one and only idea was charity. So there's that.
I think that's a great idea. I think in my brain...
I hope he's not in charge of podcasts. Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, that's a great in for us. We could easily get him to enjoy our podcast. We're right up his alley of nonsense. Yeah.
That's true. He'll understand most of what we say.
He'll just be like, hey guys, I don't remember much about that fight, but...
Except for this 2 minutes where we've been insulting his intelligence.
Dude, shut up. He won't know the difference. Just go with it. No, I really like the idea of him taking on a role, maybe taking on the role of self-effacing in the UFC, writing books. I think he's written several books, which is a very big help. Maybe he'll just be the humor chapter, if you would.
He is funny, so I'm ready for that.
So we just want to know if you guys have any suggestions for
what do you guys
Forrest
think out there? What do you think Forrest Griffin will do for the UFC?
And most original or creative explanation we'll talk about on the podcast.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great segue, and now let's bring up our guest. Anderson Silva's wrestling coach from Tough Brazil, over with Team Nog right now, Eric Albarracin. Verbal Tap fans, we have a particularly dangerous man on the line, wrestling coach. And Eric, your resume is incredibly long, but I'll hit some highlights. We have 10-year resident of the Olympic Training Center wrestling program. You've trained under just about everyone that's big in wrestling. You were active duty in the Army, which is very cool. You were a captain. You've been through all 4 levels of the combatives program over at the Army, and you've achieved about everything you can possibly achieve in wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Albarracin, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure is ours. This is you and Raph met at the Tonight Show. Is that what I understand? Is that how this hooked up?
Yes, it was actually after Henry Cejudo's second MMA fight. Henry was an Olympic gold medalist that I helped mentor over at the Olympic Training Center when he first came, when he was just a sophomore in high school. And I know I didn't reach my potential as actually being an Olympian, so I just told him, don't make the same mistakes I do. I pretty much said, do as I say, not as I do, as I mentored him throughout the years.
What was it that you thought that made your connection so strong when you guys were interacting? Why do you think that he listened to you so much?
I saw a lot of myself in him. I mean, we were the same weight. He's Hispanic, of Mexican descent, and I'm Colombian descent, and my mom's Puerto Rican. So we just had I just saw some stuff in common. Him and his brother Angel was a 4-time undefeated state champion. I just me and him, we became friends. So he was like a little brother to me.
Very cool. And Eric, you've got to be a busy guy. You want to tell us, just because I think it's really cool, where you are at this very moment?
Yeah, I'm over at Team Noguera. We're about to start our, I guess we call it midnight training here with Minotaur's about to walk in, and Minotaur and his brother, twin brother, Rogerio, Little Nog, is about to come in and train. We also have one of the semifinalists from the show here also. His name is William Patolino, which means Daffy Duck.
Very cool.
Does he talk like Daffy Duck? Is that something that just sticks?
No, I don't even know how he got that name.
That's a ridiculously weird name, but we'll go with it.
Yeah.
That brings us into a nice spot. Tell us about your history. How did you, come through the ranks? Like, how did you end up getting connected into this side of MMA?
Well, like I always tell people, to swim to new horizons, you have to have courage to lose sight of the shore. So for me to come to the best team in the world, I had to leave, my friends, my family, the United States, and migrate down here because I wanted to be part of this team and to grow as a coach. So I was at AKA in California where Josh Koscheck trained, AKA in Fresno, and after I left there, I actually ran into Minotauro in San Diego. And when I saw him, I just I told him I wanted to coach. I gave him my resume. I showed up in a suit. He's in, board shorts and sandals, as usual. And I gave it to him. But really, the funny thing what got him was it wasn't like the resume that you guys read off. Was my jump rope routine. One of the guys that I was. Well, when we were at Team Noguera in San Diego, I showed them my jump rope routine, and he liked it, and he had Minotauro look at it, and that's what sold him, because I like do front flips, back flips, and some speed jumping, bounce on my stomach, my back. So that's what got them. I actually do it on the show on The Ultimate Fighter. We'll see if they show it on the last episode.
Did you just say you bounce off of your stomach when you were jump roping?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're going to
Okay.
need to see this over at Verbal Tap. And when we do find a video, we'll be putting it on the website immediately.
Because I'm
Yeah,
following along here,
there's-
and
there's
every one of those things sounds entirely possible to me. But I like to think that when my stomach has hit the floor, it's done. There doesn't need to be a rope jumping around it.
I was a lot better when I was younger. I would say that, but now I can't do it as long, but I can still do it.
How did you come up with that jump rope kind of exercise?
Actually, Buddy Lee, who's actually a wrestler and an Olympian, he has a whole jump rope system, and he actually helped me out. He sent me some ropes, and I had all my guys at the Ultimate Fighter using the ropes as well. So hopefully we get more people using those ropes and doing some jump roping as well as wrestling in Brazil.
I think it's a ringing endorsement for the two of us. I think Kevin and I are going to try pathetically to replicate that, knowing nothing of it.
Yeah, we'll probably want to get that on videotape, too.
Most definitely.
Yeah, do a little side-by-side. So, Eric, you were in the Army for how long? It looks like you were a captain, so you were in the Army for a little while.
Yes, I enlisted as a private, and my last rank was captain in the Army. I was the officer in charge of modern Army combatives, and basically my job was to train soldiers in hand-to-hand combat prior to them deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's actually how I came to fall in love with mixed martial arts at Kansas State University next to Fort Riley. They started teaching Modern Combatives 1 just to the undergrads, and I was hooked immediately. Like, the class exploded at K-State. It went from, like, they were just trying it as a pilot program to about a year later they had, like, over 15 sections. Like, it was addictive. It's good stuff.
Awesome. That's good news.
Give us a little breakdown into the, because you're all the way up through Army Combatives level 4, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you guys use quite a bit of weapons and tasers on each other at that level?
Yes, we use tasers, we use sticks, so there's striking involved. Yeah, we get down and dirty. Real life training. Train as you
Very
fight.
cool.
That's our motto. So.
There you go. Train as you fight. So if people are listening to this episode, they get a nice, some good advice, Eric. So you have an affinity towards Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Does that come from being a captain in the Army? What's the parallel? Why do you love Captain America?
That's the name they gave me when I came down here when I was, because they know I'm American and I'm captain in the Army, so the two just fit together. But I've upgraded it because Anderson... one of our other athletes, fighters, Anderson Silva.
I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah, newcomer. Yes, I've heard.
He saw I have a Captain America bracelet, and he's like, why only America? Why not Brazil? Where's Brazil on this? So then I said, you know what? You're right. I am in Brazil. My dad's Colombian. I go, that's two big countries in South America. I might as well update it. So now it's Captain of the Americas. But in Portuguese, it sounds better. It's called Capital das Américas. Instead of Capital América, Capital das Américas.
And I mean,
So
if
it
anybody's
does
going to give
sound
it to you,
America, I go by Capital América because that's what they say here in Brazil. In America, I rarely ever hear it.
I mean, if anybody's going to give it to you, Anderson Silva is a pretty good person to give you some justification for using that moniker.
Yeah.
Yeah, argue with that guy. Anderson Silva gave me my nickname. Everyone can fuck off. That would be pretty much how I would.
How would you describe your relationship with Anderson Silva?
Oh, I wish it would be more interactive. You know, for me as a wrestling coach, I want him to wrestle every day, but that's, you know, of course there's other skills and modalities MMA that they also need to concentrate on. But it's good. You know, he trains hard. He likes to train with little guys. I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't get hurt so much. He trains. Most of the guys he trains with are like my size, and I'm a small guy. I wrestled 121. So again, maybe that's how maybe that plays into his speed and how he evades, like he's the Matrix.
He definitely looks like it's a combination of the Matrix and a Jedi for most of us laymen. But for him, the question I have for you in particular is there something about him in stuff that you've seen that we just don't know? Is there something like an insight that you've gained to him, or something silly that you found to him that you think that you see that somebody else hasn't yet?
Oh, he's exactly like you said. He's like a Jedi. He's special. And I mean, there's not too. It'll be a while before we see another Anderson Silva. So I think him. You know, there's few people that have what he has, and he's definitely unique.
Do you, by chance, ever talk to him, or do you guys ever train? What's his opinion on the super fights we keep hearing about? Because pretty much whenever we hear Anderson Silva's name now, outside of 162, it's in regards to him fighting some giant from another weight class. Do you guys work on that, prepare for that at all?
Actually, no, we haven't. Estoy fazendo una entrevista. Actually, we haven't. I just know that when on that last John Jones fight, that he had called Dana White to mention he wants to fight, he wants a super fight. I don't know if he meant with John Jones, GSP, or whoever, but we haven't. No, their only concentration right now is Chris Weidman.
Which is where it should be, because most of the time we hear him, between the fans, they never actually want to see him fight who he's fighting, which I think is an odd thing. I think even if they do give him John Jones, they'd be like, well, he's not fighting GSP.
Right. Well, Chris Weidman is nobody to look over or look past, because he's tough. We know he's tough. He's, his record's only 8-9-0, but he's another person that has that has earned his right to be there.
What do you think is the biggest problem he poses for Anderson?
I would say probably the fact that he's good at.
It's not an easy question. It's a tough question.
It's a tough question. Everybody's trying to, if they're a former wrestler, they're going to try to use the Chael Sonnen game plan. So, sure. Try to take him down, and he try to. And I believe he's better than
the Chael Sonnen game plan in Fight 1, I'm assuming, because the Chael Sonnen game plan in Fight 2 did not work out very well.
Right. So, yeah. That's the plan is probably to take him down and to try to submit him. I think that he's very skilled on the ground. Matt Serra, training under Matt Serra, so. So I think that he's skilled in that area, so I think he might have a little bit. That would be the game plan. I don't know if that's an advantage or not, but I doubt the game plan is to stay on their feet. I could say that he doesn't have an advantage there.
Yeah, and so you're also training Anderson Silva. What's that like from the fight camps? Do they just merge them all? Do they kind of train together? Do you bounce back and forth?
A little bit of everything, like? Because sometimes he trains with the team. Sometimes he has a whole bunch of guys that he brings from like Sao Paulo, from even the U.S. here, and sometimes they have their own cage time, and other times he trains with the team. Other times he trains the team as a coach. And let me tell you, he's a very good coach. He's probably even a better coach than he is a fighter. He's awesome as a coach, which is hard to believe.
That's interesting. The only thing I've ever seen him do is I've seen some YouTube videos of him explaining some striking techniques in some MMA seminars. They look pretty cool, though. He obviously knows what he's talking about.
He definitely knows what he's talking about, and he talks about Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing. He mixes it all in during his training. So it was pretty. I just sat back and started taking notes. I still have those notes. So.
Now, in terms of training, you also trained with former WWE star Dave Bautista for his MMA debut. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
No, that was an interesting experience because, Dave's 44 years old. He never fought before. And we didn't know how hard to push him, how much rest he need. I mean, not that we didn't know. We just had to learn as we went along and to see how hard to push him. There was times where I saw him fall asleep in between rounds of sparring.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, it was but I mean, he trained hard. He trained everything we asked of him. It was actually a lot of fun because he actually just listened to whatever. He just put his trust in all our hands. He listened to us, and that was an awesome camp. We had Stephan Bonner. We had Alex Schoenauer from Tough One, the Ultimate Fighter One. We had Josh Rafferty. We had 3 guys from the Ultimate Fighter One on the show. And as we were there, Stephan Bonner got the call. Like at the last week of camp, Stephan Bonner got the call to fight Anderson Silva. So it was definitely an interesting camp, and he won. We lost the fighter. He's supposed to fight Rashid Evans, and that person, something happened, legal problems. He couldn't fight, and they ended up getting a fighter. I mean, this guy had 40 fights, and he was like 320 pounds. Yeah. And Dave actually looked awesome for his first fight. He overcame some adversity, even got a double leg takedown, and grounded and pounded the guy out.
Now, do you think that that's something he's going to continue doing, just based on your interactions with him?
You know what? He's getting into some more movie roles now. So
he just signed the Guardians of the Galaxy role.
Right, he's going to be Dragon Destroyer there. So, I think that's going to be something big for him. And I don't know, he might just leave it as it is and stay an undefeated MMA fighter.
Which isn't a bad thing.
And six-time WWE World Champion. So I think
also brings me to a very, very important question. If at any time when you were teaching wrestling, did he ever just get the urge to powerbomb somebody?
Not at all.
Okay.
Exactly.
Just wanted to make sure.
He's actually he's very humble and a real nice guy. Reminds me of Minotauro. These big gorillas that gentle giants.
And I've heard very good things about his jiu-jitsu just from the rounds. So I was excited to hear that he did get that win. I think this...
nervous. I will say this, that I've never seen him that nervous. He was shaking before his fight. So, but as soon as he got hit, I think it woke him up. He realized he was in a fight, and it was time to go to war.
Good. Very good. Now, we are so lucky to have you on the phone with us because here's the thing. Most of our viewers, when they hear that a foreign language is involved, they don't really watch. Therefore, I don't think many of our viewers have seen The Ultimate Fighter Brazil 2. What are a few of the highlights that they have missed out on? And how can we get them to be more willing to go look it up on, say, Hulu and other channels to look up the shows?
Well, there was you can actually look it on Tough.tv, and they should have it in subtitles by now.
Okay.
Some of the highlights. Wow, the first 2 episodes there was 14 fights, with some awesome fights to get in the house. We ended up with 7 guys. Team Nogueira or Minotauro picked 7. Verdun picked 7 guys. And what was interesting is out of our first pick was a guy named Luis Dutra Bezzoro, which means the Hornet. He did awesome during the show, and then he was our number 1 pick and ends up getting hurt, so he doesn't make it. We have another guy that was also an awesome fighter. He was undefeated during the show, and he doesn't make it. He blew his knee out. And then we had another fighter that was on Verdum's team named Jan Cabral, who actually beat Sakuraba. He was on the show. He won his first fight, but broke his hand. So, I mean, there was a lot of very good fighters on the show that didn't even make it. Those aren't actually highlights. Those are probably actually lowlights of the show. And there was a fighter named Viscardi Andrade who ends up beating one of our Team Nogueira fighters, a real Team Nogueira fighter from our gym, to get into the house. Well, like I said, one of our guys gets hurt. So then I convinced Minotauro, let's bring back Jumbo, because I know he's training. So Verdum didn't want to let him bring back our own guy from the show as a replacement fighter.
Yeah.
But we convinced Dana, and Dana like never did it before. He let Minotauro choose his own fighter to come back instead of the fighter. So he comes back, but Verdum made it so he had to make weight, fly from another state, and make weight the same day. So he had to lose 22 pounds in one day and fight. But he had already, and this guy, they already fought to get in the house, and Viscardi already won. So he was kind of pissed that Viscardi had to make weight twice. He had to fight Jumbo again. So he actually knocks Jumbo out this time and gets in Minotauro's face. And that's for you. So then there was almost an all-out brawl. Yeah, because in Brazil you don't disrespect Minotauro. So there was an all-out brawl.
In America, you don't do it either. That's not a guy you want to walk up to and get in his face.
Yeah, so then there was almost an all-out brawl between the guys, and then that started a rivalry between me and Viscardi. So then I guess he started making fun of my coaching style. So I did something to him. Then all these pranks started going down. Another highlight would be, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do a prank. That's going to be the prank of all time because I'm going to get them all at once. So I called Rogério, who was about to fight Rashad Evans, and I got something shipped. Some stink bombs shipped to his hotel in Las Vegas. He brought it to Sao Paulo after he beat Rashad, and I set it up with in a van. I was like, I need to do it in a small place. So we put 15 stink bombs in the van. We got it to all the fighters get in the van. Then we blew up the stink bombs, and all my team shut all the doors. And then I jumped on top of the van and was waiting for them to come out. After like 40 seconds, we were going to let one door open, and they were all going to come out, and I was going to throw flour on them, and then the rest of the team was going to throw water and eggs on them. But it kind of went crazy. People went to the hospital.
Jesus.
The van was completely destroyed, and that's on the an 8th or 9th episode. And that's a prank highlight. So as far as fight highlights, Viscardi,
Eric, you might have missed your calling as a show promoter because you have got me literally. I'm going to be turning this on at work tomorrow. So you might want to think about that as a backup profession.
Well, that's But then what happens is last week or 2 days ago, which was Sunday, they got me back. They kidnapped me. So that wasn't fun, and they really they did it off the rules. I shouldn't have been able to get kidnapped because you're only supposed to do stuff in the house or in the academy, and that's it. Well, they kidnapped me on the street, and I was walking down South Hollow on a Friday night, and some stranger comes up and talks to me. As he talks to me, 4 guys jump me, put a bag over my head, and plastic zip tie my ankles to my feet to my wrist. I was kidnapped for about 6 hours. They were dunking me. They were like,
hold on. As they do it, did you know it was them, or did you have a moment where it was like, holy fuck, someone has done something? I'm
about 40 seconds into it, but I fought them for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
But then I was exhausted because Verdum, Vanderlei Silva, Felipe Verdum, his brother, and Dita, these guys are tough, big, man. And I mean, they weren't hitting me, but they were trying to hold me, and I just kept skirming and trying to fight, but I kept on breaking their zip ties. So by the end, I had 8 zip ties on my wrist, another 8 on my ankles, and then they were tied together between my wrist and my ankles, and I had tape around my face. They put a plastic bag over my head. I had all kinds of stuff done to me. But that was without cameras. When the cameras showed up finally 2-3 hours later, then they brought me in a van to the house. And at the house, they tied me to a tree and hung me. And that's when they grabbed all these fireworks and woke up the house, and everybody was supposed to come save me, but it was a trap. So I told them, don't save me. Just go get some weapons so I can get these guys back. I'll get out on my own. So I ended up getting out and had a few scars. There's no fair and love and war, I guess.
Wait, okay.
I guess, too.
That just happened Saturday or Sunday.
That just happened his last weekend.
2 days ago.
Okay.
Oh, my
okay.
God.
Wait, are you with me on this? Because I think there are so many questions that I have just based off of this.
But as far as that's another prank highlight. There was a lot of prank highlights throughout this season because nobody ever really watched The Ultimate Fighter. And from the team over here, nobody's watched The Ultimate Fighter in the U.S. So I'm like, well, we better have some pranks prepared. So I was the mastermind of all these pranks. But I did an Oreo cookie one. That one was pretty funny. I bought a bunch of Oreo cookies. We were all going to watch the UFC, Rashad versus Little Nog. And I took all the Oreo cream out and put in toothpaste and stuck it in the middle of the coffee table. And Team Verdun was eating it, and it was funny. So there were some low-level pranks like that. But as far as
someone was kidnapped in Tufts, Brazil. That's amazing.
Yeah, they didn't show too much, but they showed me. Yeah. Oh, they cut my hair. They shaved my head. They wanted me to say.
Got your hair.
They kept on saying, "Are you Team Verdun? Say your Team Verdun. You're not Team Nogueira. Say your Team Verdun." I wouldn't say it, so then they shaved my head.
I mean, when you really take this bit by bit, and you're explaining it in the very I guess that happened.
I'm losing it, by the way.
Might have
I'm
gotten water.
Ordered
a couple times. It's cool. It's a testament to your Army upbringing because I don't know what I would have done in any of this situation.
Oh, I was irate. I was pissed. In the beginning, I thought they were just going to get me back with no cameras. And I was like, this isn't even part of the program. I go, the thing with you is the program. And they're like, I called up Vanderlei Silva. Vanderlei came up, and I was like, Vanderlei, you know this isn't right. You were from Tufts 01. I go, you better tell them there's no cameras. He was like, oh, we got a camera right here. And he whipped out his cell phone, and then he goes, let's get him naked. I was like, oh, shit, he didn't help me. He did not help at all.
Well, I got to tell you, this was worth the wait. Go ahead, Rap. Sorry, what?
I was going to say, this is the best, it goes from the Ultimate Fighter into a primetime drama all of a sudden. It's a crossover between the Ultimate Fighter and Homeland all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think Eric's going to have you're going to have a slot on The Bachelorette next season. They're definitely going to bring you into the house just for some added drama.
Maybe. We'll see who the next season's coaches are. Because I think I'm the only wrestling coach in Brazil from America right now. So if they do another Tough Brazil 3, maybe I'll be on there too. I don't know. Depends if it's a Team Nogueira fighter.
Well, it's not the lack of trying on your effort. It sounds like you did everything you possibly could to make sure there's a third season.
Yeah. What's funny is, in the U.S. they're happy with, to get 800,000 people to watch. Over here we have 8 million, or no, way more than that, 12 to 15 million watching.
Yeah, the difference with L.A., or not L.A., but U.S. television is a wacky, wacky thing. You're talking about tenths of points. So if it gets a 0.6, they're happy with that rating. Over there, it sounded like, I think at one point it was attracting, like you said, in the tens of millions of people just to watch it, and it slid down. But the ratings over there would still be comparable to something on cable over here. But they have talked about it. Do you know if there is a third season possibly, or is it still kind of up in the air?
I haven't heard anything, but I think it would be awesome if it was like Anderson or Sagano or something, or Junior Dos Santos.
I mean,
that would be cool. Yeah, Dos Santos too.
Maybe even, but they really like to have two Brazilians as coaches, and right now I don't see an opponent from Brazil that could warrant that spot, whether it's against Anderson or Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah.
We know who Junior Dos Santos is fighting next.
Right, so that's not gonna. That'll probably happen on December 28th with
They'll probably save that for that.
Misha Tate versus Ronda Rousey again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some big news that just came out today.
Yeah, we just read that down here too. So
very cool.
But
you were mentioning a blog you have also that covers the Ultimate Fighter Brazil.
Yeah, it's just on I wrote it on my fan page on Facebook. So you got to scroll down, but I have it highlighted, so it's the full page, and you could read up on from episode 1 to episode 11. I'm gonna finish episode 11 tonight. I give the background information because a lot of times there's no way they can fit everything in a 45-minute slot. So
you mean like an abduction?
I get. Yeah, no, the abduction was on the show for sure, but they didn't show all of it.
Right.
Thank God they abducted a wrestling coach. You guys are built a little differently. Wrestlers are, because I got to tell you, I probably would have been in tears about 25 minutes into Vanderlei Silva shaving my head. That probably would have gotten me.
Yeah, that wasn't it wasn't a good time. I had a black eye. I think the chemicals from the duct tape on my face for 3-4 hours gave me chemical burns. So
well, I think the most unfair thing is Wandy shaving your head. There's no retaliation for his.
Yeah,
I had a chance to get them back. I got them back. Yeah. I got them actually back within a couple of days, but it's not what I wanted.
Did you want to abduct a family member and hold them ransom? How do you get people back after they've abducted and tortured you?
No, I had something planned with some military police out there, like pull them over, plant some drugs on them, and arrest them, and put some guns in their face, and put them in the cell. And then when it's time for their lawyer, I was going to come in. But I guess that was too much for the production. Wouldn't let that happen.
For some reason, they wouldn't let that happen. I don't know why.
I had it all planned out.
Sticklers.
So I could do was we actually had like a pool party at the house, and we had yoga. We did yoga with my team, or with Minotauro and all the guys, and they brought in a pole dancer. And like Team Verdum had a pole dancing class. So they were all in one room, and there's actually a balcony to that room. So then I was like, well, this is my best chance to get them back. There's only like 3 days left in the show. So I grabbed a huge bucket, threw some eggs, some dirty bath water from their bathroom in it, some protein powder, started mixing it all up, and then I went out there and threw it on all of them. And the one that got it worse was the pole dancer. So then she gets all mad and leaves off, and she puts a stripper curse on us. It was like, I hope you guys don't get in for a whole year. So
Brazil is so fascinating to me at this moment.
So that was me. The stripper curse was worse than the kidnapping.
I was about to say, that's a way more harmful thing for the long term.
Well, you've been having a rough few weeks, I gotta tell you. I consider a kidnapping and a stripper curse to be like ultimate lows.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't fun.
So UFC on FX in 2 weeks, what can we expect from the main event?
Main event, Minotauro versus Verdum. So, he's beaten him before. I think that's an advantage. Verdum's obviously getting better, but so is Minotauro. Ever since he's got his hip surgeries, he's been performing real well, training harder than ever. We brought in a bunch of guys to help mimic Verdum, a K1 fighter, a Glory fighter. We have an Olympian that was in the semifinals of the Olympics from 2012. His name's Kitak Pliev. He's actually from from Russia, from Vladikavkaz, Ossetia. Você vai juntar? Não, você tem que treinar. Hold on a second.
No problem.
I just feel like you have to let him talk, otherwise he could get abducted and if his wits aren't about him.
Okay, sorry about that. Someone
Don't worry about it.
was explaining to them.
You were explaining, just what's going on. Who's, are you, is it just the gym or people gathering to train? What's going on over there?
Yeah, there's still people here. We were all waiting for Minotauro. I think he's coming. So, but a couple guys are just waiting for me to train them. A couple other guys. But one of the guys that was in the semifinals, he's going to be fighting this Sunday. Of course, we don't know if he wins or not. So, but the four semifinalists, what's interesting about besides the main event, which is, Minotauro versus Verdum, that's going to be awesome. He's going to the plan is to get his hand raised. He's training for 5 rounds. I don't think it'll go 5. Most heavyweight battles don't. So I think there's going to be a knockout or a finish before that, and hopefully it's Minotauro's hands getting raised, and that'd be awesome. 2-0 against Verdum. I'll be happy if that happens.
Yeah, no kidding.
For more than one reason. So, but it's
after this fight, I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. After this fight, Verdum's going to what?
He's going to be wished he was kidnapped before he got in the octagon, because we've been training Minotauro real hard for him.
It's good when you've got a little bit of actual motivation to hit someone in the face. That tends to help it along.
Yeah, just the motivation to win for Minotauro is enough. It'll be fun. And then we have the finalists. Team of Girls got 5 fighters and fighting on that show. We have Eric Silva. He's fighting Jason High. That's going to be a good fight. We have Braga Neto. He's one of the first preliminaries. He's fighting Anthony Smith. We have Rafael Feijão, who's fighting Thiago Silva. And was that 5? I know there's one more. Feijão, Eric Minotauro, Braga Neto. Oh, Honey Jason. Honey Jason, the Ultimate Fighter winner from Tough Brazil 1, is fighting. He's fighting a Mike Wickelson from, I think he was on the Australian Tough show, the Smashes. Cool. So we have 5 fighters. The plan is to have 5 victories, and also the finalists of the Ultimate Fighter. So that should be awesome. The 2 guys that are in the final are awesome fighters. If you start watching some of the episodes, you'll see they had some of the best fights in the house. Real surprising, because of the people we picked that we thought would be number 1. They didn't make it. They weren't healthy enough, emotionally strong enough, whatever it is. Dana White came on the show. He's looking for people that are emotionally strong enough, physically strong enough, and mentally strong enough to make it to this season. Now I see what he means as I was a coach on this season. It's everything is a fight. You're making weight. You don't know whether you're going to get who's going to get picked. When you got to make weight, you might have to lose 15, 20 pounds in a day. You don't know, because depending if you're not keeping your weight close, and all of a sudden you get picked when you thought you weren't. Somebody got hurt and you got called back up. There's all kinds of things happening on this season that are very stressful. It's very stressful in that house. Those first 4 weeks were very stressful for us, for Team Nogueira, because we lost the first 4 fights, 3-4 fights. So we didn't win in a whole month, and we were having a terrible time. And then, I was like, this isn't the Team Nogueira I'm used to. We're best team in the world, and then we turned things around and we started winning. I think we won the next 4 fights. 5 fights in a row now. So we have there's 3 in the semis. We have 3 Team Nogueiras in the semis, and the one guy that made it was Viscardi. He's in the semis, and he's the guy that got in Minotauro's face. So the drama still continues. It'll end on this Sunday.
Yeah, see, back to that promo career. You should really think about it. We should get you a microphone a little bit more often, especially at some of these events.
At the very least, you will be the first call I need to make if I'm ever pranked or kidnapped.
No shit. We've got a resource now. Someone, we've got a prankster, evil genius.
No, to tell you the truth, I was just like every day I'd get up back from Tough, I'd go on to like just YouTube or go to like collegepranks.com or something like that and get ideas. So the van was my idea though. The van with the stink bombs, I thought of that one, and but the concept of antiquing someone, which is just throwing flour and water on them, I got that from like YouTube or like researching it, and I said, and let's antique someone. Well, how would I get to, and how could I antique a whole team all at once? And that's how that idea started. I said, well, I started thinking military as a captain. I was like, well, when you surround an enemy, you have to leave one door open, and when they come through that door, you destroy them. So that's the plan. How do we get them to come out one door? So I got them caught up in the van, and then shut it, lock all the van, take the keys out. Thank God we took the keys out, because they would have tried to drive. One guy tried to drive off, but he couldn't find the keys. And there's nowhere to go. He would have had to go through a wall, and he would have too. That's how crazy this guy was. So I thought of taking the keys out, and good thing, because he said he was just gonna. He probably would have. As we destroyed the whole van. The van was destroyed, $70,000. So we probably would have, had he had the keys, he probably would have destroyed 2-3 more cars in there. So it's a good thing he put the keys out, because
first follow-up. What was Dana's response to all of that?
What's that? You know what? I don't know. Dana wasn't too. We didn't see Dana that much. We saw him like 3 times, I think, via satellite. Once when a guy didn't make weight. We had a guy that didn't make weight. That was a lot of drama. We had, he first came in after the fighters were picked, and who to pick when one of the fighters got hurt. So I think we saw him only 3-4 times. He wasn't that too involved via satellite. I'm sure he was involved with the production guys, but as far as the trainers and athletes seeing them, I think it was like 3 times.
Right, very Charlie's Angels of him.
So, but I'm sure he heard about the van. If he didn't, I would imagine that he's seen this episode last week. So.
Oh, I'm sure when he gets billed for a van, cost of $90,000.
Yeah, it was destroyed, and it was because of the they couldn't see. It was the fire extinguishers got involved. So.
Even better teaser alert. So we do have to, as we round out, because we know you have to get to training people. Can you talk to us a little bit about your involvement with the Save Wrestling program?
Yeah, you know what? That was I thought I'd never hear that they would drop Olympic wrestling. So keepolympicwrestling.com. It's a website you can go on. You can sign a petition. Always, as far as what you guys can do, as far as like retweeting, get people to follow Olympic Wrestling. I think it's Fila_official. That's the Twitter name. And we're signing petitions. They just did 2 United for Wrestling, which was we wrestled U.S. versus Russia versus Iran in New York, and then we did another one, I think just last week in L.A. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend them, but we have there's an effort definitely to save it, headed by one of the head founders of Fortress. His name is Michael Novogratz, and he was the team leader for USA Wrestling in 2012, and he's been doing an awesome job getting everybody to pull together and really working hard. I think we're going to get it back. There's actually this weekend, I think, is a big decision that's happening in St. Petersburg, Russia. The rules have changed already. They're trying to make it more exciting. So they've had some rule changes. And we're going to continue to evolve the sport to make it more fan-friendly so this doesn't happen again.
Well, as long as competitive trampolining is safe, I think it makes sense to attack wrestling. Now, you definitely have fans over Raph and I are both jiu-jitsu guys, but wrestling, wrestling's part of that mixed martial arts crew and definitely belongs in the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of the first sports next to marathon. The first was marathon, running, and wrestling. Those are the first two Olympic sports. And it just doesn't make sense for them to take it away. And the way it happened, like secret ballot, and it was supposed to be another sport that was supposed to be gone. And there was no wrestling representative there during this secret ballot. And it just seemed weird. So hopefully this weekend that it'll get put back. I know if it doesn't get put in this weekend, then we got to go into there's another huge meeting in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and that's I think where they decide what new sport is going to come in. And we're competing with like baseball, karate, wushu, I think wakeboarding. So they've had a poll. The poll just ended today. We won the poll as far as wrestling by probably 30,000 votes. And the next one below, squash. The closest one was squash, followed by, I believe, karate. So we're winning that battle. So hopefully, in Argentina, if it doesn't get put back this week in St. Petersburg, Russia, and Buenos Aires, Argentina, hopefully it'll get selected as the next sport to be put in, which sounds kind of ironic. But speaking of Argentina, we also have the first Argentinian that's on Tough Brazil, and he's in the semis. And he's on our team, Tino Guerra. He's awesome. His name is Santiago Ponzinibbio. Every fight he has is like Dennis Bermudez versus Trice. I think that's his name. Where it was like a fight of the year. It's kind of like a Forrest Griffin versus Stephan Bonner. Every time this guy fights, Santiago, it's awesome. It's crazy to see that he fights. Every fight is a war, and he seems to always get hurt and come back and win. So he's in the semifinals, and he'll be fighting this Sunday as well. Yeah, first Argentinian. He's already the face of Argentina for MMA, and he's in the set. He'll be fighting Sunday in the semis. You have to tune in to see if he makes it to the finals.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm going to have to. And one more time, where can we watch Tough Brazil? It was toughtv.com?
Tough.tv. I believe all the episodes should be on there. I know I've watched the first 3 or 4 with subtitles. So, most of the world watches, American movies, American TV, The Ultimate Fighter with subtitles. I don't see no reason why, we're too good. We should be able to. They should afford us the opportunity to watch it as well. And I think they should be playing Tough Brazil in the U.S. I mean, Minotauro and Verdun both speak English. They speak a lot of English on the show, but it doesn't even matter. It's in the language of fisticuffs anyway. So you watch.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
For the fights and I guess the pranks too.
Wow.
And the drama.
We'll see how the pranks translate to an American audience. But I see it right here. Tough.tv. We'll definitely plug that out as well.
It should be under videos. So,
yep.
And you could on my page, on my Facebook fan page, if they don't have that, you could see some of the videos. I know I highlighted the one with the van. Mm-hmm. I know that one's on there. So they showed a little bit. They didn't show all of it, but they showed a little of the van prank.
Cool. Well, I think that's as good as part as any to go ahead and call it. Eric, we want to thank you so much for your time. We're really glad that we got to hear all of that wonderful insight, not just about Tough Brazil, but just about your training experience. And we hope that you'll come back on the show and talk to us a little bit more maybe after this event down the line, and we can get your insight into that and everybody else you're training.
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully it'll be with 5 victories come June 8th, and then maybe even another one of our fighters will be the next Ultimate Fighter. So we have 3 guys at Tino Guerra. We have William Patalino, we have Leo Santos, and we have Santiago Ponzinibbio, the Argentinian, versus one guy from Team Verdum is Viscardi Andrade. So that'll be happening this Sunday, and then the finals are happening June 8th. So tune in.
We will definitely be there to report live on June 8th, so look out for some of that. Eric, thank you so much for your time. We love having you on as a guest. We will be talking with you soon, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Verbal Tap fans, we know the audio was a little rough, but he was in Brazil at Team Nogueira's training camp. Plus, he was awesome. Deal with it. Thanks. Boy, this is the part of the show. Welcome back. Welcome back, Verbal Tap listeners. That was, Eric Albarracin. He's awesome.
Yeah.
This is the part of the show. Okay. Yeah, this is the part of the show where Raph and I talk about the guest, and I talk while Raph is talking. Go ahead, Raph.
It's okay. No, he's great. Super lively. Just happened to be that he came to the Tonight Show one day, and I was just like, hey, you look familiar. You should talk to us. And he was nice enough to give us his time.
Yeah, and you could tell, like, it is his time because you could hear, like, people asking for him, being like, hey, man, you ready? And it was all in Portuguesa, but
don't try.
I gotta work on my Portuguese.
Yes.
He's hilarious. Got kidnapped by Vanderlei Silva, a man nicknamed the Axe Murderer, just to talk about his toughness a little bit. So, I can't wait to have him back on to tell us some more of those stories.
It's not just that he got kidnapped, but the, like, very casual way he had referenced, like, oh, yeah, they kidnapped me. I think I was waterboarded.
I honestly thought he was about to say he was waterboarded. I thought that's where that was going.
He definitely was mentioning the fact that water was splashed in his face, which, I mean, again, never having that experience, probably might be making a reach to say he's waterboarded, but prove to me he didn't.
Yeah, prove he wasn't. I mean, it sounds like we should err on the caution side of waterboarded and not the other, just given the general way in which the kidnapping went. But fantastic stories.
I mean, you would never get that anywhere else.
No, and he's working with a really cool crew. So that's gonna do it for Raph and I over here at Verbal Tap. Thank you again to Eric, and it's time for shout-outs. BJJ and MMA Academy, No Concept Jiu-Jitsu out in Maryland. Got to train at both of those places. Actually came from training tonight over at BJJ and MMA Academy. Great lesson put on by Mr. Samgura Kinikol and Andrew, doing some takedown work and some passing, trying to just escape from turtle position, which is always helpful.
Yes.
BJJ Finder. I just used it because I have to go to Louisville for a job thing that's not worth talking about on the air. But I looked up some schools over in Louisville. I might swing by and try and do some training. Spread the verbal tap. I'll give away a shirt or something. We'll talk to them.
You'll give away the shirt. You're just going to show up there and they're going to be like, so how do you pay for this? This shirt?
Here you go.
This is cool, right? We have a podcast.
I'm on the bartering system, so yeah, I just present people with things. Check out BJJ Finder. It's really easy to use. It'll show you the local schools around, and of course, you can find Raph and I on Twitter, VerbalTapCast, tweeting out the events, talking back and forth during most of them. Download us on iTunes, leave us a rating so we know you're listening, and check out the website, VerbalTapCast.com. Mr. Esparza, your shout-outs.
Let's go ahead and start with Dream Jiu-Jitsu, which is the tournament that we are hosting over at Valley Martial Arts Center on June 15th. Was there no VMAC on that one?
VMAC! You snuck it in. Normally you say VMAC. You just Dream Jiu-Jitsu, and then you were like, over at Valley Martial Arts Center.
Well, I said we were hosting it. You just don't pay attention. You literally do.
I just replayed your entire conversation. I'm clearly listening. I was just waiting for the... Yeah, I missed my cue.
No, totally. You just literally said your shout-outs and then just
edit it out. And, I know I won't.
Kevin's done. Yeah. You just literally go, okay, here's everything I have to say, and I'm taking my headphones off. Fuck this.
I'm out. Deuces.
Like, I literally should just say shit about you the entire time I do shout-outs. And just see how that works. And be like...
I'll just scream VMAC halfway through and then be like, all right, that'll do it for us over here at Verbal Tap.
I'd like to thank my co-host, who's an idiot, and definitely recently just proved positive for syphilis. Congratulations, Kevin.
Thanks, Ref. What's up?
Oh, nothing.
You done?
Anyway.
Okay.
Other legitimate people that we are going to thank, of course, Valley Martial. Oh yeah, the tournament's going down. It's $30. It's real cheap. You get 4 guaranteed matches. It'll be a lot of fun. Come on out, support Valley Martial Arts Center. Also, other stuff that's going on. I'd like to thank the good folks of Early Late Night. We are getting ready to celebrate our first year anniversary on June 11th, Tuesday, June 11th at 10 p.m. So please get excited for that show because it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful big show that we're planning over at Flappers. If you are in Burbank, California, come on by, say hi.
If you've never YouTubed it, go look at the videos. Funny show. Funny shit.
We have a lot of fun, and we're excited to be celebrating our first year at the Comedy Club. Other stuff to talk about. We got this really, really wonderful email, Kevin. And I kid you not, this is normally we shit on one another, but this was I thought a good email. You want to hear this?
I do want to hear this.
Okay. Hey Raph, I gotta let you know, I've been training various martial arts since I was young. I trained Hapkido, Kung Fu, and about 3 months ago began training BJJ with Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu in Chicago. Having minimal ground fighting experience, my progress had been slower than satisfying in my biased, impatient perspective, but after listening to your interview with Rafael Lovato Jr., I was so amped that I had a killer night of training, so thanks for the motivation. Keep up the good work. So we would like to send a very quick and special shout-out to Mr. Chris Fowler for sending that wonderful message to let us know that the Rafael Lovato Jr. Interview was good, which we thought it was pretty good ourselves. And we've gotten wonderful feedback from people just telling us that they've picked up and gone to train more after hearing his story, and I think that's fantastic. So
yeah, I was no exception. And if you haven't, go to Rafael Lovato Jr.'s page. You can watch him explain how he won the Bracieros. But thank you. Yeah, that email, that means a lot. So we appreciate it, and we like having a medium where fighters can sort of tell the unabridged story.
And of course, if you guys ever want to send us one of those emails, we might read it.
Yeah, just did.
Yeah, because who's going to stop us? Because normally we get emails that are just kind of like, or texts or tweets that are just kind of like, you suck, but you're pretty awesome, but you suck. Which is fine. But we definitely have a great relationship with our fans, and we are always out to promote all of your mixed martial arts places, and we want to give a special shout out to the good folks in Chicago at that Gracie Barra to let them know we hope they're doing great and keep up the good work. Boom, I'm done.
All right, I'm Kevin Phillips. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fun. Thing anybody's ever created.
I got that on recording, by the way, just so you know.
We'll go for it. You can fucking put that up. I don't even care.